Here we go.
All right.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bob Weir with another interview of interest to residents of North Texas. My guest today is Dr. Kevin Rogers, Superintendent of the Lewisville Independent School District. Thank you, Dr. Rogers, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to answer questions that are on the minds of so many people, so many parents and children and so forth. So let me begin with the most obvious question. When will our schools reopen?
Yeah, thanks, Bob. It's great to be with you as always. And, we're excited finally that while our schools have been open, they haven't been open in person since last March. And so we're excited that this upcoming Tuesday, September 8th, we will get to see our students in person again. And, that's exciting for us because that's what we know. That's what, I've experienced for the 35 years I've been here in Lewisville ISD. And, so we are really excited about welcoming back, our in-person students. But at the same time, we have close to half of our students that will remain virtual, that, their parents have chosen the virtual pathway. And so they'll still stay on their virtual track. And so, we'll continue to serve both groups. But we're excited about September 8th and seeing some of our kids in person.
Okay, so September 8th, well, that's right around the corner. That's Tuesday. So, all right, how many students will be taught via the remote video type?
Yeah, that's a great question. Bob, we have about 50,000 students in Lewisville ISD. And, when we initially, knew that we would be planning a virtual program, for some parents that would opt for that versus sending their kids back to in-person school, we sort of guesstimated, 25%, 1 out of 4 parents would make that choice. But it really turned out to be closer to 50-50. So out of our 50,000 students, we'll have about 26,000 that we'll welcome back next Tuesday in person. But that leaves about 23 to 24,000 that will still be learning virtually from our teachers.
So, oh, really? So about 50%, 50-50. That's,
Yeah.
wow, that's got to take an amazing amount of organization to have the remote education match the classroom education. So let me ask you, what will the remote schedules look like?
Yeah, so and we're calling that virtual, but it is remote, remote learning. But the schedule really, Bob, is intended to sort of mirror their regular schedule because we're trying to be prepared at the end of each grading period. A parent can make the choice to send their kids to the other pathway. So, if you're a virtual pathway parent and you want now to change your kid to back to in person, you can request that change. And so we want to sort of mirror it as best as possible to where whenever they do move back and forth from those pathways, that it's a little more seamless. And so, we're excited about that. The other thing that we tried to do is, last spring from March through May, of course, we had remote learning, or what we called at-home learning, but it was a very scaled down model. We had 10 days to get prepared for it. And of course, we didn't know when we did that the governor was going to call off school for the rest of the school year at the time. So, we did the best we can, and I'm proud of what we provided, but it was not certainly to the standards that we wanted to provide. So we knew we had to upgrade what we provided this fall for those folks that chose virtual, and I believe we have.
So just out of curiosity, or many people are probably wondering when the virtual learning is going on, will it be the child in a room by himself, or will the parents be in the room, or how's that?
Yeah, so for virtual learners, I mean, and we've made this clear from the very start, excuse me, it does require a lot of dedication from the parent because they are going to have to be a learning coach too. And so, you know, some families are certainly more prepared to do that, more capable because of their job flexibility, and some families aren't. You know, we also, in some of our uh, areas of our district, we have to make sure parents have the access to the internet that they need, and the, you know, all the technology possible, even though we provide some technology to our students. So it does require a lot of additional time on a parent's sake. And
Good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
yeah.
How many parents will be sophisticated enough with the technology to be able to handle this on a regular basis? Yeah, that's true. I guess that has to be worked out ahead of time.
Yeah, and it would have been nice ahead of time, but the Texas Education Agency, you know, that they only allowed us 2 weeks of window of a parent telling us what pathway they were going to choose from the start of school. So, you know, when we were sort of surprised that it went from our guesstimate of 25% to 50%, you know, there was a lot of work to be done in a 2 week period. And, you know, but we've done everything we can. We've certainly not been perfect. And, you know, we know that, and we've tried to be as upfront with our parents as possible. And we'll continue to work hard to get it to where it needs to be.
Now, just again to clarify, so for everyone's understanding, with the remote education, the virtual education, will that be an equal amount of hours to the time spent in classrooms?
Yeah, that's our intent. And you know, the reason for that is because you know, last year, you know, we heard from many parents, you know, for March through May thing, hey, it's not rigorous enough, you know, where you're only spending 2 or 3 hours with our kids a day. And we got that. Like I said, we put that together in 10 days, you know, over spring break. So we knew that we needed, and other school districts too, knew that they need to be more rigorous. And so we're trying to mirror the the workload. The grading requirements are the same, whether you're in person or virtual, so on. So, yeah.
All right, how about for those attending the classrooms, will they be required to wear a mask and or engage in social distancing?
Yeah, all of the above. You know, we depend on our experts like CDC, Centers for Disease Control, Denton County Health Department, all the guidelines from the American Association from Pediatrics, so on. And so, yeah, they will be required to wear masks, the same as, you know, you and I and everyone else required to wear a mask if they go to Lowe's or Walmart or, you know, anywhere else.
And the social distancing.
We certainly, go ahead.
The social distancing, with 50% of them in the classrooms, now you'll have the room for social distancing.
Yeah, no, that's sort of, and that's a typical understanding, but really a little, if 50% of my students are learning virtually, then close to 50% of my teachers are teaching virtually. So it's still really, class sizes in-person school will be a little smaller, but it won't be half, because I've still got to take half of my teachers and move them to teach those virtual students.
Right.
So the ratio is close to the same. We feel good about social distancing in most classes. There's some classes that are still, you know, larger than we'd like. Those singleton classes, you know, like classes, there's only offered one. And so you can't, you know, if you split it, you've got, you know, you're impacting the other classes. So you usually just have one class offered of some of these specialized classes. We've also purchased, Bob, about 40,000 what we call desk shields, those 3-sided.
Oh yeah, right.
You know, laminated or plastic shields that will go on desks. Also, every one of our elementary students will have one for their own desk. There'll be at least 10 or more to every other secondary classroom. So we're going to do all that, everything we can to socially distance and provide a safe environment. We're also doing an enhanced cleaning. We have purchased electrostatic machines for every campus, and paying for additional custodial staff. Every single classroom will be electrostatically cleaned every night. So a
Very good.
massive undertaking.
Electrostatically clean.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, now, Dr. Rogers, you said that the parents and students have the option of which teaching method to avail themselves of? All right, so they can make that choice. And
Yeah, absolutely. We went into this, Bob, really believing that our parents and our students deserve the right to have a choice. We understand everyone's in a little different place with the pandemic, going into all this. As I know you've heard, there's still folks that are totally believe this is all a hoax, to then everyone ranging on the other end that, hey, I'm not going to let my child out until there's a vaccination, everyone in between. So parents absolutely deserve the right. And so we gave them 3 choices. We gave them the choice to be in person, which, a little over half chose that. We gave them the choice to be virtual. And of the virtual parents, we also gave them a choice to be what we created, which is known as Virtual Plus. Virtual Plus means that your child is learning virtually, but if there's a class like band or Spanish 4 or athletics that you want your child to participate in that they can't do virtually, then we would let you add that plus. And so take the majority of your classes virtually, but come in person for that one class. And so that's the modification that we gave our parents.
All right, how about this? Will students be required to be tested for the virus before admission to school?
No, there's no testing required. I know, I know Baylor University, I think, was requiring their students, and they actually mailed all their students, a testing kit. But, even if you required them early to do that, which there's no requirement by health authorities to do so, if I tested you last week, doesn't mean that you haven't been exposed and potentially, symptomatic this week. So, I mean, it's just not, it doesn't make sense.
And what about the teachers and administrators? Are they tested before starting the school year?
No, it's the same, but they are required daily, and they actually get a daily reminder via text and email that they have to ask themselves those questions. Do they have any of those symptoms? Have they been exposed to someone with COVID-19? Have they been recently diagnosed, lab confirmed COVID-19? So we send that to every one of our staffs every day before they report to work. So they're supposed to do that themselves.
All right. And now, since since students were forced to miss several months of the school year, how are they going to be able to make up for that loss?
Yeah, and that's a great concern. The one thing I would tell parents, and we have told parents, that are really concerned about, hey, my child's behind, is, the first thing is they're behind like every other student across the nation. So it's not like someone's gotten ahead of them.
Right.
Everyone's in the same situation. But I will tell you, and I'm really proud that, we have spent this entire summer, our learning and teaching folks, and we write our curriculum with the assistance of teachers. So we have spent this entire summer rewriting all of our curriculum to where we could help make sure and catch kids up on the gaps that would. And so the first part of their new class this year will be focused on catching them up on some of those gaps. And so,
Excellent.
we're going to do everything we can. We'll have extra time at the end of school day, additional Saturdays that parents get. So we'll provide additional opportunities to help catch our students up.
And
But
I imagine students will be reminded regularly about the washing hands and, using sanitizer and stuff like that.
oh yeah, no, every time they walk into their class, they'll be given hand sanitizer. So every time they walk into the building, there'll be a hand sanitizer station. So, elementary kids, they automatically, even before COVID-19, there were hand washing times, that teachers would take
Right.
their class, but that'll absolutely be scripted as part of the school day.
It's a good practice to be involved in all the time. Yeah, that's just something we should all learn to do.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you about school sports. Will the students be able to participate on teams that they did before the pandemic?
We sure hope so. I will tell you, of course, school athletics in Texas is governed by the UIL, University Interscholastic League. But just to let you know, so since June 8th, there have been athletic practices going on, governed by the UIL, sanctioned in smaller groups with wearing a mask and all these different other health and safety protocols. That's been going on since June 8th. We've had actually 4,000 students that participated this summer in that, with very few cases. I think out of those 4,000 students, there were like 14 or 15 COVID-19 cases. So that was really great. In addition to athletics, we also had marching bands doing the same thing. So we look forward to September 25th, the first Friday night football games in Lewisville ISD. I will tell you, I would have never thought that as a part of that, I was going to have to figure out health and safety protocols for stadiums and limited seating, because, we're having to figure out, we can't have more than 50% capacity, and we still have to, have social distancing even during football games. And so a stadium that might hold 9,000 will be less than 2, because one, we're automatically taking out every other row to help maintain social distance. But then we have to sit groups like bands and drill teams and so on and social distance them. So they have to sit, 4 to 6 feet apart, even as a band. And so we're not going to have as much space or as many, visitors to our games, at least this season. But my ultimate goal is, while I'd like to have more fans, I just want to make sure that we provide the opportunities for our students to continue to compete, because, to be honest with you, Bob, they've been competing anyway this summer in their other leagues that aren't sanctioned by the school. And so we need to try to make sure that happens.
Well, looks like you've got this covered. Dr. Rogers, we're coming down to an end. Is there anything you'd like to add before we close?
Yeah, just a couple things. First off, Bob, and I appreciate once again the opportunity to visit with you. But second, just greatly appreciate the support, the patience, the grace that we've been given by our community as we try to navigate these waters. And we know some people like the way we've handled it and some people don't, and they're certainly entitled to their opinion. We're going to continue to do the best we can to serve our kids ultimately and our staff. We not only have to take care of the needs of our students, but we do have to take care of the needs of our staff. We have 6,500 employees, and really and truly, probably the greatest heartburn or concern I have going into this school year is the staffing issue. Because if one of my teachers gets exposed to a student, and we're not upset with the student because they didn't know they were asymptomatic, but I'm going to have that teacher self-quarantine for 14 days. And so, as that cycle keeps going around and around, I may get to a point that I don't have the staff capability to cover. And so that's really one of my biggest concerns going through this period. But we are going to do absolutely everything we can to not ever close again. Now, you know, that's not all guided by me or the school board or whatever, but we want kids to be in school. We believe it's best for kids to be in school. And so, you know, we've sort of adopted the mantra this past 6 months of flexible and nimble. And we're going to continue to do everything we can to be flexible and nimble. And we ask for everyone else to consider the same.
Well, I know that many people will be praying for this and praying that this will one day end and we can have this in a rearview mirror and get back to normal life in America. I want to thank you, Dr. Rogers, for educating as well as protecting the health and safety of our children. Thank you so much for the interview also.
Hey, thanks so much, Bob. Y'all take care.
Okay, you too. Have a great day.